Okay. Okay.
Beautiful day.
You've got pretty decent weather outside.
Beautiful day, yeah.
Pretty decent weather. Right, I'm just going to copy the link and paste it into here. Okay, so we might have some people joining us live for the brain teasers today.
Okay.
Did we do the murder mystery last week?
Did you do what?
Did we do the murder
Which
mystery
one?
last week?
Learner mystery, girls. You do the mystery.
Where I gave you all the clues about all the people.
No, Steve.
No. Okay.
No.
But I will save that one for today. I've got a nice murder mystery for the girls. And
Murder. You didn't do a murder mystery. Did you do a murder mystery?
Was the one with the girl that was going to die?
Yeah.
Balls.
That's a marvelous.
okay, so then we're going to start off with a nice simple one. Have you all done Sudoku? All done a Sudoku before?
You want to
Some people call it Sudoku. Some people call it Sudoku. Although it does end in a U, so it can't be Sudoku. I'm going to draw it for you. And hopefully you'll be able to see it. Let me go to share screen. And here it is. Please draw the following in your books. Okay. It's a square with 3 jail bars going down and 3 jail bars going across. And what we do notice is that we have a rectangle, a circle, another rectangle, a triangle, we have a circle, we have a square, and we have a rectangle. Can you all see that on your screens?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Now, in the rules of Sudoku, you need to know that every row and every column must have 1 triangle, 1 circle, 1 square, and 1 rectangle. You can't have 2 of the same shape. You're only allowed 1 of each shape in each horizontal line and each vertical line. And to make it exciting, I'm going to shade in the middle line, going from top to bottom and from left to right, and every quadrant of 4. That means the top corner here, the top corner here, and each of the bottom 2 corners, they have to have 1 of each shape as well. So no duplicates allowed in each corner. And what you need to do is fill in the missing shapes. Did you follow that?
Yeah.
And it should be pretty easy and quite quick. Are there any questions?
Right, we finished, Steve?
Oh, let's have a look. Are you showing your answer? You might have to lift it up a little bit.
Hold it. Up a bit.
Okay. And you will try and keep it still if you can as well. Move it a little bit further away from the camera. That looks about right. Let's see. Yeah, that's looking much better. Yep. And drop it down a little bit. Excellent. Yep, that looks good. So we've got one person who's got it right so far. Any other takers?
Yeah, they could be different content there. They could be different answers.
Oh, we have another taker. Let's have a look. That looks good to me.
Yeah, she had the same.
She had the same? Okay, very good.
The same.
Okay. And we have a smaller piece of paper. Let's have a look. Oh, that one looks interesting.
You haven't finished it.
What's the missing spot there?
Sorry.
In the bottom line, you're missing quite a few. Oh, that's much better. Let's have a look. How many rectangles have you got in that? Is that a square in the top left-hand corner?
Square here.
Okay, all right.
Perfect.
That's looking good. Very good. Excellent. That looks right. Very good. And the rest of you?
Yeah, all right. That's fine. Good. All right, understand, girl?
You might have to bring it down a little bit.
Right. All right, they've all done it, see? They've all finished.
I think they all pretty much look like they're getting it right.
Yeah. All the same, yeah.
Okay, so let's go through quickly on the screen, and then you guys can compare with what you've got on your pages over there. Let's go to share screen. And let's pick my beautiful artwork. And let's see if that's going to show up. That looks like it's working. Okay, so if you have a look here, the best way to solve these is to look for straight lines that are missing one shape. So in this first column over here, we've got a circle, we've got a rectangle, we've got a triangle. Only one shape that's missing is the square. In this group of four over here, the one shape that we are missing is a triangle. So I'll draw that in. In this particular line over here, we've got square, rectangle, circle. That one must be a triangle. Which now means that if we look at the bottom line, we have triangle, we have square, and we have rectangle. We're missing a circle. And the one shape that we're missing in this quadrant of four is actually going to be a square. And now here comes the problem. There are two blocks missing in each line. So if this is a triangle and this is a rectangle, then one of these must be a square and one of them must be a circle. I know that this one can't be the circle over here because there's already a circle over here. So therefore this one must be the square and that one must be the circle. And once we've worked that out, then this one will have to be a triangle and this one will have to be a rectangle by filling in the missing ones. Did you all get that right?
All of them? Yes, well done. Good.
That was a nice easy one to warm you up. Okay, let's go back to my screen again. All right. Let's see if I can find you a nice little juicy brain teaser, and then I'm going to give you the murder mystery. Okay. So I'm going to draw this on the board again. So let me go back to share screen. And I'm going to go here to new. And we're going to go like this. Do you all know Roman numerals? What fraction is that in Roman numerals?
1 over? Over 9. 1 over 9. Good.
1 over 9. Okay? We would like to make that into 1 over 5. And you're only allowed to move 1 matchstick. So imagine those are made one match is allowed to be moved. So if you're looking at this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matchsticks were used to make this. You're allowed to move 1 matchstick, and you've got to create 1/5. How do you do it? Do you all understand the question?
Yeah. Those you all understand? 5 is a 1 over 3. Got it? Come and share.
Yeah.
But that's a 5, that's a 4. And the 1 over 5 is 1 over V, girls.
Remember, it's only 1 over 5.
Huh?
I'll show you the picture again. Have someone got an answer?
Just do it neatly, you can't really see it. Just do it neatly. And then come and redraw it and show them to Steve. 5.
I was just double checking these answers.
The high school don't go there.
Yeah, they
And,
yes.
yeah. Yeah. Right. So Steve, tell us what you did.
So over here,
Let's have a
over
look.
here you have the X and you take one of them.
Go with
I just see fingers.
You take
let's have a
away,
look.
you take away this one.
Which one are you going to take away?
She's taking away. It's got this like this. So you're taking away
Yeah.
this one,
Yeah.
and you're moving to that.
And then it's gonna be-
and doing that.
Ah, but then you're
V.
taking away one and you're moving one. You're only allowed to move one. You can't take any away.
Then you move one.
I got one. I'm doing that.
Over there.
I got it. I got it.
Or someone's
Okay,
planning.
show it.
Let's have a look.
So you take the
One.
you take the 1 from 9 and you put it at the top and it becomes 2 10.
Oh,
Which is
2
what?
over 10. 1 over 5.
1 over 5.
Well done.
Who got that right?
Well done, Merciful Soul. What's your name, love?
Melissa.
Melissa.
Can we
Well
get a
done,
picture of
Melissa.
Melissa with her answer?
Come here, love.
I
Come
want
and
the
stand here with your
answers in the
picture.
photograph.
Put your answer. Turn your answer on. Can you see, Steve?
There's just a slight delay. It's about 3 second or 4 second delay, but we want to see her face in the picture with her answer.
Put it like this, next to your face. Okay. Go lower. Put it higher. Okay.
Let's have a look. We can get just her eyes and her nose. Perfect. There we go. Got it. And we even got a half a smile.
Right.
Oh, there we go. She looked like she was surprised there. Well done. That was very good. So let's go through that answer and show everyone else. I'm going to post that now on the screen. Here we go. As she correctly pointed, is it Melissa? As she correctly pointed out, she looked at the 1 and the X and realized this made 9. So then what she did was she took the 1 from the bottom, this one here, and she put it on top. So it was 2 over X, which is actually 2 over 10. And as you know, that is the same as 1/5.
Yeah, good girl.
Do you understand that? Was that a sneaky one?
Wait.
Is that a little bit too sneaky for you? Okay. So now we're going to give you a completely different one. And this one.
Ready?
Okay. So this is one of my old favorites. This comes up in a lot of brain teaser books and that type of thing. I'm going to draw it for you again. Let me just get my pen ready. And we're going to go to share the screen. Aha, there it is. Okay, let's go to clear. We have a road, and the road forks in 2 directions. Okay? In the middle is a mountain. So you can't exactly cross from one side over here to the other. You're either going to go the one way or the other. And in front of each road are 2 people. You all got that?
Okay.
Now, one of these roads will lead to treasure. The other road will lead to prison. We're not sure which one is which. So one of them is treasure, one of them is prison. And we know that these 2 that are guarding the road, this one is guarding this road, and this one is guarding this road over here. And what we do know is that one of them always tells the truth, and the other one always lies. But we don't know which one is which. So one of them is a truth teller, and one of them is a liar. They both know where the treasure is. They both know where the prison is. But you don't know who's telling the truth and who is lying. You are allowed, here's you. You are allowed to ask them, not each, but just one of them. You're only allowed to ask one question. And from that one question, you will have to work out where the treasure is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No.
One question, girls.
Only ask one question. Now, I think your video camera's gone blue for some unknown reason. Now you're back to normal. There we go. Okay. So we want to know if you can only ask one question to one of them. You have to pick which one you're going to question, and we want to find out where the treasure is hidden.
Are you allowed to ask them one question each?
No, only one question. You got it?
Yes. So you ask.
Come closer.
So you ask one of them. The mountain is in the middle. and if you ask them, the mountain's in the middle, then
Yes.
and one of the guys says no, and one of the truth will say yes. So then that's how you know.
So now wait a second. You're only allowed to ask one question. And if you ask the question, is there a mountain in the middle, then basically you've asked your question.
You see, so you
So
need
I know
to
you're
go,
trying to establish if they're lying or telling the truth, but then you've used up your question.
Yeah.
Do you ask so? You say ask the mountain is in the middle. Which side is which road does? No.
You're going to have to say the question again nice and slowly and loud.
This is hard. You ask the person the mountain is in the middle. What lane is the treasure? Wait. What road leads to the treasure?
It's so that.
Yeah, but if the mountain is, they say,
So we know the mountain's in the middle, but you can only ask one question, and it can't be like a double-barreled question like, if the mountain is in the middle, where would the treasure be? Or something like it's got to just be a simple question.
You thinking, girl? I think you've got them stymies.
This is a tough one. The best way to do it is maybe to role play it. So pretend you've got two people guarding the paths, and pretend one of them is a liar and one of them is telling the truth, and ask them a question, and then try and work out if there are any patterns there. I see a lot of smiles and blank faces.
I think there are lots. You girls, no idea. Wait. Yeah?
You just ask one of the guys. They know, then that leads.
But how do you know which way leads to which treasure? By asking.
Ask one of them. One tells the truth and one doesn't tell the truth. You ask one and ask them, is there and then if one of them says yes, that's the way to.
No, you still don't know which way it is to prison or which way it is to treasure.
Yeah, can you see that's a bit tricky?
Yeah, okay, no?
I think he's saying that the liar will lead me to treasure. And you ask one of them, and then let's just lie. The liar will say no. So then you go to the right path, and you go. If you go to the one to the truth, then he will say yes. So you go to the other one.
I
But
don't
now
understand.
you don't know who's telling the truth and who's lying.
Yeah. You see? Come on,
And
you
it's quite an
think
interesting answer. When you hear the answer, you're going to go, but how does that work? When you actually test it out, you will see that it does work. You give up.
you give up, girls? Yeah. They all give up.
Okay, I'll let you give up on this one, but I won't let you give up on the murder mystery.
Right.
Okay, so let me draw it for you. Let me go all the way to the screens. Okay, so now let's pretend this one is the treasure and this one is prism. You got that so far? Okay. Now, if this was the truth teller and this one was the liar, if you go up to this person here and say, where would the other person point? Then they're going to tell the truth. And the other person, if you were to ask them where would the other person point for the treasure, the other person would not point in this direction because they would be lying. So they would point in this direction here. So if you ask this person here, where would the other person point? They would say the other person over here would point in this direction. And what you do is you choose the opposite direction over there. Now let's pretend you ask this person and you say to him, where would the other person point? They would say that the other person is going to point this way because the other person over here would tell the truth and point here. But because they are lying, they're going to say, no, the other person would point here. In which case, you go the opposite direction, which will also take you on that path. Did that make sense?
Does that make sense, girls?
Yes.
And some people say, oh, but what happens if you change it? Let's change it a bit. Let's go like this. Where is my share screen? I'm going to choose this again. So we'll look at a different scenario, and then you can see if we get the same answer. All right, so let's go to new. Okay, so here's the path. And let's pretend this is where the treasure is, and that's where prison is. Here is the truth teller, and here is the liar. You come up to this person and you say, where would the other person point? Now this person here is going to lie. So they would say that the treasure is this way, which we know is a lie. But you're going to go the other direction, which is this way. And if you had to ask this person, where would the other person point? So if you ask, so let me see if I got that confused. Okay, if you ask the truth teller, and you're assuming that this guy is the truth teller, and you don't know if he is or isn't, if you ask him, where would the other guy point? He knows that the other guy is going to point in this direction. And he will tell you the truth. He will point in that direction, so you're going to go the opposite way. And if you had to ask this guy, where would the other guy point? He knows that the truth teller would point over here. So he's going to lie and say, no, this is where the other guy would point. And what are you going to do? You're going to go the other way, which in both cases leads you to the treasure. Does that make sense? Did you all follow that?
What girls?
It's quite a tricky one. It's not so easy. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to give you a murder mystery, but I'm going to have to give you a bunch of facts that you're going to have to write down. All right, so I'll read them to you, and then you're going to write down the important bits, and then we'll go through it together. All right? We've got 5 friends. And the 5 friends, one of them killed one of the others. Okay, so out of the 5 friends, 4 are alive, 1 is dead. You got that? Okay, the next clue. Dan, D-A-N, ran a marathon yesterday. Dan ran a marathon yesterday with one of the innocent men. Dan ran a marathon yesterday with one of the innocent men. You okay with that? The next clue is Mike considered being a farmer before he moved to the city. Mike was thinking about farming before he moved to the city. Okay, your next clue. Jeff is a computer expert and he is fixing Ben's computer next week. Jeff is a computer expert and he is fixing Ben's computer next week. Okay. The next clue, and this is very important. The murderer had his leg amputated last month. The murderer had his leg amputated last month. That means his leg was removed or chopped off. He had to have an operation, and they took his leg off last month. Your next clue, Ben met Jack for the first time 6 months ago. Ben met Jack for the first time 6 months ago. Okay. You all coping so far?
Yeah. Steve, my friend and I have to go.
Who has to go? Hold on, we got to get a photograph. We'll say goodbye then. We need to say goodbye. Big smiles.
Bye. I'm the only one.
Got
No.
your eyes closed. And there we got half a smile. And got you. There we go. So enjoy it. I'll give the rest of the clues to the girls, and you're going to have to work through this one together.
Tell me, Melissa. Mine.
Okay, so the next clue, we know that Jack has been living alone since the crime took place. Jack has been living alone since the crime took place. And two more clues. Actually, I'll give you one more clue. The murderer is Jack's brother. The murderer is Jack's brother, and they grew up together in Durban. Let's mention they grew up in Durban. The murderer is Jack's brother, and they grew up. Let's name a suburb in Durban. What suburb is your school in? What suburb?
Musgrave.
Musgrave. Okay, so the murderer, it says Jack, the murderer is Jack's brother, and they both grew up in Musgrave. So what I would like to know is who got murdered, which of the 5 people got murdered
That's correction. Right, girls. Read it to me then. Shannon, go on. Somebody said it. Read it to me. Oh, there we are. Steve's back.
Has anyone worked out who the murderer is and who got murdered?
Right. Let's have a look. But have you written it down there? Yeah. One round. One. Not considered having. Because what are you going to draw here? Create, eh?
Sorry?
What do you draw? Yeah, what type of table? Carol diagram. Yeah, stand draw a carol diagram helps you.
So who does Caroline think the murderer is, and who does she think got murdered?
Okay, so who does she think the murderer is, and who got murdered? You got it, no?
Let's go.
Oh, you have to go, Shane. Won't you come and bring your chair here? You. All right, will you take it home and try and work it out? Good girl. You sit there, love. You come in back. Anyone got your solution yet, girl? Still working it out. Okay?
I mean, think about it. Real detectives would need to work this one out. Well, the first thing you would need to do is obviously establish the names of all the people.
Yeah.
And then you would also need to establish who was murdered. From the clues, you could always tell who wouldn't be alive or who's a possible candidate for being murdered. And then obviously the murdered person can't murder themselves. That would be suicide, not murder. And then you would need to work out who the other person could possibly be. We know that the murderer had his leg amputated last month. And that's important.
Busy girls.
They've gone awfully quiet.
You're all concentrating.
I can see the smoke coming from out of the ears.
I think so. And discuss it with a partner, girls. Discuss it
You
if you
can
want to
always
with
chat
your
about it.
neighbor.
You can always ask me questions. Oh, I knew this one would throw you a little bit.
Any hints? Any idea?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me write some of the things down on the board and see if any of the stuff is helpful to you. Okay, let me clear the screen quickly. Okay, so let's write down the names that we know. We know that we have Dan, we have Mike, we have Jeff, and we have Ben, and we have Jack. Okay, so let's put a list over here. This is the murderer, and this is the murdered. So we'll just put here the dead guy. Okay. And then we'll just put a list over here to see who could have done what, and maybe that will help us. Okay, so we'll start off over here, right? It says here that the murderer had his leg amputated last month. But from the first clue, what do we know?
Yeah, so what do we know about Dan? He ran. Okay, good. So if Dan ran, is it possible that he had his leg amputated?
No.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
If it was 6 months later, yes, he might have been able to run, but I don't think he's going to run a month after his operation. So Dan is obviously not the murderer. You happy with that? Okay. Then it says that Ben and Jack met for the first time since, well, for the first time 6 months ago. Now, we know that the murderer is Jack's brother. Now, if Ben and Jack only met for the first time 6 months ago, Ben is obviously not the murderer. You happy with that so far? We know that Jeff is going to be fixing Ben's computer next week. So Ben is also not the dead guy. Does that make sense? And neither is Jeff. He can't be the dead guy either if he's fixing the computer. And if Dan ran the marathon yesterday, it means he can't be dead either. So that leaves us with Mike and Jack. But what do we know about the murdered person?
But it can't be Jack.
Jack has been living alone since the crime. So if Jack has been living alone since the crime, he is obviously not the dead guy. So who's the dead guy? Mike is the dead guy. So now that leaves only 1, 2, 3 suspects who could have killed the dead guy. See if you can work it out from there. Did that help you? Was that helpful?
Yours was a good. Okay, good.
Do you want me to leave it on the screen so you can have a look at that? I'll put it back on the screen just so that you can see it. Oh, I see some hands going up. Does that mean they know the answer?
They tried, right. Okay, look. Okay, tell us who. Wait. Alright, why do you think it's Jack now? Jack's been living alone. Have you sat closer to the man?
Because he lives alone since the crime took place.
Who did you say it is?
Jack.
So Jack killed his own brother. Why
Okay,
do
is that what you're saying?
Why do you say Jack killed his own brother?
Why do you say his own brother? Right, Kamala.
You see, the problem is that if you look at the last clue, the murderer is Jack's brother. So obviously Jack couldn't have been the murderer.
And who's Jack's brother?
Jeff.
You find Jeff. Come closer. Who do you say? Tell Steve.
You think Jeff was the murderer? Let me have a look at my little screen over here. And let's see if you are right. I'm going to switch it to this thing here. Well, we know that Jack can't be the murderer because the murderer was Jack's brother. And that leaves Jeff and Mike. Since Jeff was the dead guy, it can't be him. Oh, since Mike was the dead guy, it can't be him. So the only person left over was indeed Jeff. That means Jeff murdered Mike. Is that what you were saying?
Jeff murdered. Okay, girls.
Why would he murder him?
Right.
Was that a
You will
tough one?
understand that. That was a toughie, eh?
Oh, but you like these kind of brain teasers, don't you?
Yeah.
I know you like
got enough?
the gruesome murder mystery type. And maybe if there's time, we can do another one next time. I want to give you. I want to play a game. How many girls are there in the classroom?
6, Steve.
6. So let's try this as an experiment. I want you all to stand up.
Right.
Okay. And if you put your hands on your head, then that means you are choosing heads. If you put your hands on your bottom, it means you're choosing tails. So you either have to choose heads or tails.
All right.
I think I've lost you there for a second. Can you still hear me? Okay, so you can still hear me, but I can't see you. But Bev, I'll just trust you to watch the girls. I'm going to flip the coin, and if it lands on heads, the people who've got their hands on their heads will remain standing. And if it lands on tails, then the people who've got their hands on their tails will remain standing. The others obviously will sit down. So you either choose heads or tails. Have you made your choice? And it's heads. So anyone who has their hand on their heads has to sit down. Remain standing. The tails will have to sit down. How many are left? Okay, there are 3 left. The 3 of you can either choose heads or tails, pick a new one, or you can stay the same. It's up to you. And I'm going to flip the coin again. You ready? Heads again. How many are left? So if you've got heads, you're still in. If you've got tails, you're out. 2 in. The last 2. Pick heads or tails. Okay, you ready? It's heads again, which means you 2 are still in. So now you can either stay as you are or change if you want to. It's up to you. Heads or tails. It's tails. So if any of you have got your hands on your heads, you are out. That means both out. No one wins. Now, how could you have improved your chances of winning? Is there a way to ensure that you could win? Now, for some unknown reason, I've got no video, no sound from you guys, but you can obviously see me. So I'll just look at the chat channel there. So you say that there's no ways you could win. Of course, we both know that, well, we all know that if I flip the coin, there is a 1 out of 2 chance it's going to be heads, and a 1 out of 2 chance that it's going to be tails. 50-50 chance, correct. It's a fair game. What makes this game interesting is that obviously it doesn't matter what you choose, everyone has an equal chance of going out. How could we change the game to make it a little bit unfair or a little bit more fair for some compared to others? What we could do is maybe we could have 3 marbles in a jar. 1 white one and 2 black ones. And we could throw the jar around and we could ask you to pick either white or black. But now if there are 1 white one and 2 black ones, the chances are better that a black one will come out compared to a white one. So then that would always give the white one an advantage. But of course, if I put 2 white ones and 2 black ones, then we're back to flipping a coin again. So one really cool game that I often play, which we would need a whole class to play, and I think that when I come up and visit you guys in school, we'll actually play it live with a pack of cards, and that would be take a deck of cards and ask people to choose either hearts, diamonds, clubs, or spades. And I would pull a card out of the pack. And if it matched your corner, then everyone in your corner would go out. Or we could do it the other way, where if I pull out a card and it matches your corner, then you stay in and everyone else goes out. But then I wouldn't put that card back in the pack. And that would change the whole game. Because now there are going to be fewer or more of those cards in the deck. Does that make sense? Agreed. Excellent. Okay. All right. So now we've got time for we've got about 5 minutes. Are all your students still there for the next 5 minutes? Your video is coming back. There we go. Now we just need to see if there's any sound. Is your microphone on? Not sure if you can hear me. Okay, the microphone is on. So I want to give you one last brain tease to think about before you go. All right? Let's see if I can pick a nice one that'll make you think a little bit. Okay, let's do... Okay, I'm going to draw one quickly and see if you can solve this one. So where's my share screen? Okay. I have a square, and the square is going to get cut up into smaller squares. Now, I know some of these look like rectangles, but they're all supposed to be squares. I would like to know how many squares are there all together in that picture. Now, I can't hear any of your audio, but you can always type the answer if you have an answer for me. 26. Try again. Try again. Ooh. One of them is correct. Okay, I'll go through it with you. Have a look at the screen. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are 16 single squares. You can't get double squares because then that would make a rectangle. So that won't help. So we're going to go for 2 by 2s. So this is a 1 by 1. And now we're going to go for 2 by 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 2 by 2s. 3 by 3s we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 3 by 3s. And of course, we've got 1 5 by 5. Sorry, 4 by 4. And if you add that up, you get 30. Who got that right? Ah. And what about the rest of you? So, Mrs. C, you get 5,000 naughty points. And we have Mr. K here from the USA who's joining us. But he's literally caught us on the back end because we're about to leave and finish off. How's it, Mr. K? I'm just going to switch my thing back to the camera again. There we go. Okay, so now, Bev, you guys have to go now. Is that correct? Please tell the girls I say goodbye. And we will catch up with you guys next week.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, David, how you doing?
Good. How have you been? Pretty
You caught us
pretty
at a
good.
good time.
Do you guys just have a brain teaser?